All right, hello and welcome everyone to another Will Pop Vinyl video here. We're starting a bit of a 2025 end of year recap series, I hope. And the best way to start, I think, is with what I collected from this year, 2025. I collected a good amount of new music, of the 300-ish new records I collected, I think 40 or 50 of them were from 2025. And for the most part, I'm pretty happy with everything I bought from this year. There were a few misses from Bandcamp pre-orders where I couldn't really hear the whole thing. But I don't know if we're going to get to those. We're not going to do 50, don't worry. There's also a few honorable mentions from 2024 that kind of carried over into 2025 for me. But I think the best way to do it is just to talk about what I've listened to, what I like, and what I collected. And let's start with what I probably listened to most this year in the house, in the car, all over. Pulice, Lands and Eternal. This record, I think I found out about this because of a direct email from Bandcamp. So loving that. This is from Leaving Records. I'd collected some stuff from them in 2024 and signed up. Jumped in, listened to this on the Bandcamp, immediately put in the pre-order for the clear edition, which I think was at the same price or $1 more expensive, which is limited to 100. This is like ambient electronic, jazz. If you're a fan of Nahles Nefro, Pharoah Sanders, Promises record with Floating Points, and London Symphony Orchestra, it's very much in that same vein. It's super chill. It has some spiritual vibes to it. Cole's saxophone playing is not really, I would say, virtuosic. It's very restrained, but it really grooves and moves, and it's great with some of the guitar work that they're also implementing on this. If you kind of like that ambient avant jazz stuff, which I really do, this record, I've been playing it just all year, everywhere I can. So super, super sick. And yeah, go check this one out if you missed it. It's amazing. Next up, and probably tied for most played, although the vibe is a little bit different, is Lolo by Lolo. So I guess Lolo is the name of this collective. Diabate, Canuta, Pilia, and Zanotti. And so the best I can understand is that this is like two African artists who are collabing with two Italian artists to make this African world folk music. This is on the Black Sweat label. So another one I found because of a Bandcamp direct email. I'd started following Black Sweat last year because of Dom, I think, recommending some of their Klaus Weiss reissues. But they do put out new music as well. And there will be another Black Sweat 2025 release in here too. And yeah, this record is super upbeat, very playful, very just listenable, enjoyable. Some of the songs have lyrics in African language. I'm not sure which one, but just every time I put this on, it's super sick. And I actually found a second copy of this in the wild recently at Red Hook, the famous, well, not the famous, but the no-name shop in Red Hook, and just grabbed it because I figured I'll find someone who likes this and I'll be able to give it to them. So yeah, check this one out. This is super awesome. The name is a little hard to find on Discogs, Lolo, but I will put it, of course, in the notes below so you can link to it. All right, and third, a more recent acquisition, Tender Waiting by Matthew Sage. Very much like the Cole Police. This is like, for me, very in that ambient jazz, folk, like experimental vein. Came to this one later in the year. I had it on a playlist and never really investigated it properly, and then Dom mentioned it, and I went back and listened to this and some of his other records. Definitely an artist I want to explore and collect more of. But this one, compared to everything I've listened to so far, still takes the cake. And this is on the Revenge label. Sorry, I paused to cough there. If you have an art cover version of this, the more limited one, I would love to buy it off of you. Because, yeah, this rocks. So after here, we're not really going to go in a specific order. I'm just going to try to run through as much stuff as I can. In an artist or a band, a group that I really got into last year and collected a lot this year and had 3 releases this year, actually, is called Water Damage. And this is definitely different from what I've just been showing. So Water Damage is this collective out of Texas, I believe. And they do these long form, really just like heavy and repetitive improvised tracks. I think they get together and have these practice sessions and they record them, and then the ones they really like, they end up putting onto a record. So this one right here, Water Damage, is called Real LE, and this came through, what is the name of this label? They used to be on Cardinal Fuzz. This one is called Waveform Detritus Records. I'm not sure if they always put them on the same label. Doesn't matter. You just find them on Bandcamp or and on Discogs if you need, and of course the link will be below. But yeah, so 2 tracks, each like 20 something minutes long, just super chugging, heavy, but not doom, not like sleep. So a little bit more post rock, I guess would be the best way to describe it, but with a little more tooth to it and without the other instruments. As far as I can tell, it's like 1 drummer, maybe 1 to 2 guitarists, bass, and the way they build is really interesting. So usually they'll like let one player start with a riff or a motif, and then that person just keeps hammering it throughout the track, and then everyone else kind of improvises and moves around that. So there's always this center point, at least to my ear, that this person has to commit to playing for like 20 something minutes while everyone else kind of meanders around it and tries to find different grooves and things. And if you don't like repetitive music, you're not going to like this, but I do. So Water Damage, Real LE. And then they had another one from this year called Instruments. And one I haven't actually listened to yet, the most recent one, live at La Guess Who. So I guess they did a live recording. And I know that they came through Brooklyn last year before I was aware of them. So they do tour, they do play. I'm sure those live sessions are awesome. So maybe someday I'll be able to go to shows again. All right, another artist that I'm really big on collecting these days that had 2 releases this year is Sam Gendel. I got into him probably in 2023, just as I was starting to get into collecting records again, with his the Duber album, or no, maybe it was Music for Saxophone and Bass that he did with Sam Wilkes, and then they did the Duber after that. And I've just been, whenever I find something from his in the wild, I try to grab it. And then, of course, following him on Bandcamp, I scored 2 things this year. One weird one called Digi-Squires, which I think was limited to only 100, and they said it was never going to be repressed. And they charged $60-something for this, or maybe $70, which is really expensive. And I think that's a really interesting idea. I'm sure a lot of collectors don't like that. But, if people are going to flip a record, and a lot of his stuff that is short run, you can see people trying to sell it for hundreds. Might as well capture a lot of that primary sale as an artist, right? So maybe this is something that we'll see more and more in record collecting. I don't know. But this is the first time I've really seen him, and like Frank Ocean are the only ones I know who are doing that. And then he also released this Live at Union Station, which is, I think this was actually from a 2018 or 2019 show that he did live that he recorded, and I guess for whatever reason putting it out now. Very nice, gentle, at a few points where it kind of picks up, but overall this is very ambient, different-ish from what he's been doing more lately, but also really enjoy having this. I think the cover here, just a little sticker, is pretty fun. All right, we have a few more coming up from Dom here. This one literally is one that I bought from Dom because I think he had multiple copies of it. But this is Megabasse with Flamenca. Shortly after, it's one of those things where like once you buy it, now you start seeing it everywhere. So shortly after I got it from him, I started seeing it in a lot of the stores that I frequent here in Jersey and in New York. But thank you anyways, Dom. And this is great. This is a repress or a first-time pressing on vinyl of work that he had put out on tape or CDR previously. So I saw someone on Discogs commenting that if you get the other media version of this, the tracks are longer. This had to be cut down to fit this format. I guess they decided to do that instead of doing a double LP, which makes sense not to split up one track into 2 sides maybe. But yeah, this record rocks. I really, really like it. The first track, I think, more than the second. And yeah, just awesome. Again, in that ambient experimental, he does it all with like loop pedals and his guitar, I believe. So just kind of creating these layers and textures and building up this sound as a solo player. Very good. We'll kind of do this trio here now. So the group that I also really got onto this year from Dom was Bitchin Bajas, and they had some new releases this year. So here we go, Bitchin Bajas, Inland Sea. I've been listening to this a lot lately. It came out only in the past couple months. It's fairly new. Yeah, you see the label there. And it's a little bit different from the older stuff, I would say, but very listenable. Like I actually like that. It's a little bit more digestible, the tracks. So if I put it on, it's not like you're committing to really long stuff. But yeah, I quite like this. And they also had a collab album with Natural Information Society called Totality. This is really great. I love the textured cover on it. Definitely a little more experimental here. And then Natural Information Society had their own record this year, Perseverance Flow. So I'm going to cough again. Yep, Perseverance Flow. So of the three, this is probably my least favorite. It's interesting. I think it's maybe the most interesting, but not the easiest just to put on when you're hanging out with people because of this is repetitive in a way that people notice, and I don't know that everyone will find it enjoyable. I still like it, but not as much as the others. So thank you, Dom, for always putting out the great content and putting me onto some really great stuff this year. Ghosted 3 from Oren, Ambarchi, and crew. Not as good as Ghosted 2 or 1, in my opinion. I actually need to spend more time with this. I only listened to it to once or twice, but hopefully I'll be traveling next month. I'll have opportunity to listen to this a little bit more and dig in, maybe connect with it as well as I did those first two. But throwing it out here because this is one that I think I had to order early-ish on Bandcamp, or I chose to, and I wouldn't call it a disappointment, but I just need to spend more time with it. But if you haven't checked out Ghosted 1 or 2, definitely go check those out and then consider this one. All right, so getting away from some ambient stuff for a moment. Ville Valavuo. This is from Finland. This album is called Commemoration Song. Sorry, I'm blocking it down there. And this is on the Ultrani label. They went with a green label there. I picked this one up. I think I picked this one up online. I got on Ultron. I forget how I got on their Bandcamp subscription, what I bought from them originally. But I found out this year that the local record store in Bayonne imports a lot of stuff from Ultrani and RR Gems and some of the other Eastern European labels. So the first time I went to that store, they had this and some other stuff, and I was like, oh, cool. Like now I can buy it from him, support him local, not have to deal with the shipping and worrying about stuff arriving and all that. So this one, very cool. I mean, some of it is, I don't know, it's just like a really great contemporary jazz record, leaning a little bit more towards the spiritual side, but I wouldn't really put this in the ambient category necessarily. But I quite enjoyed this one, and I started re-listening to it again at the end of the year to prepare, and yeah, it's really good. Another one in that same zone, Organic Pulse Ensemble, who I think I heard about them from Dom originally, and I got this one from that record store in Bayonne, like I said, who brought it in. This is on the RR Gems label. They do this weird thing where they put the sleeve as like the packaging. So I have like a sleeve within the sleeve here to preserve the sticker. And the only way that they seal it is by taking this little label, kind of like a very miniature Obi strip, and taping it across. And so you have to cut the label to get the record out. So I have this janky like sleeve within a sleeve here to preserve that for whatever reason. But yeah, I got super into Organic Pulse Ensemble. I've collected some of the other stuff, and those records vary in expense, but this one is the newest one. Oppression is 9/10 of the law. It's also, I think, still pretty affordable, so it could be a really good entry point. So if you don't know about this guy, he plays all the instruments and then tracks them together. Or I don't even know if he like tracks them together. I think he plays one part and then uses the same tape to like play on top of it and layer it, and so it's not perfect, right? It's not like edited together, but really cool stuff. And it really varies in vibe from track to track, album to album, but I quite like this. All right, some honorable mentions here. Cindy Lee, Diamond Jubilee, a record I know a lot of people talked about last year. I ordered this on Bandcamp, and I don't think it arrived until 2025. So I am calling it a 2025 release for the purpose of my Discogs collection database entry, so I'm putting it here. But if you know about this, you know about this from last year. It was on a lot of people's lists. It's a good one to own on record because you can't stream it, and at least as far as I can see right now, and I'm not sure if it's ever going to go back on streaming. The only other way to listen to it is to go on YouTube, again, as far as I know. But for me, this kind of hits that same zone as like the earlier Deer Hunter stuff that I really liked as far as indie rock goes and what I enjoy these days. So yeah, Diamond Jubilee, check that one out if you missed it. Another one from last year that didn't come out on vinyl until this year is Villagers, Tear Your Heart Out. So this is an Ohio band. I think it's mostly one guy, but there must be some other players in here, especially for when they tour. And they put this record out last year. I think I might have heard about it on the Quietus or somewhere. Went and checked it out. Really liked it. It's kind of like a slowcore indie rock album, and sometimes I like those, sometimes I don't. You know, I think people would compare this to maybe Alex G, some of that other kind of slowcore stuff. I don't really like that stuff that much. This one, for whatever reason, I really did like. And this is the the high vis orange, and it comes with this little flexi disc too. I bought this last year on tape because I wasn't sure if they were going to do one, and I wanted to support the artist, so I got the cassette. And then they signed up with a different label this year called Windspear, and Windspear put out the vinyl, and I'm sure you can still get it on Bandcamp too, at least the black vinyl. So check this one out, and you can stream this, and I would recommend starting with the title track. That was the one that really, really hooked me the first time. All right, this is Everyone's Cheat from 2024, but Cameron Winter, heavy metal. This record got me to try to get into Geese again. I remember 3D Country coming out. Everyone gave it really great reviews. I didn't really care for it that much. I didn't get the hype. And then this came out, and instantly, you know, track 1, 2, 3, 4, that run is just so good. Pulled me in. many re-listens. You know, especially good record to listen to when you're driving to a record store or walking between them in the city. So I gave this a lot of attention, especially at the beginning of the year, as a lot of people were talking about it in retrospect because it came out in December, right, 2024. So it was too late for consideration for a lot of people's best of the years. Yeah, I did not buy the new Geese record either. I haven't gotten to that, but for whatever reason, like this one right here, this hits. And I'm not going to say anything more about it because there's no way you don't know it. But yeah, awesome record. All right, jumping back to Black Sweat. Here we go. I don't even think they have their name or anything on the front here. But this is a band called Fling II, and the record is called Fling II. It's their first record release. And this is also, like I said, on Black Sweat. But this is a band from Michigan, I believe. It's a duo. And they're doing like a new take on Berlin School, krautrock, or new because it's from 2025. So I wouldn't say there's anything especially like new spin that they're putting on it, but I don't care. It sounds awesome to me. If you're a big fan of like early krautrock, like the real classic krautrock stuff, like think like Noi or Harmonia. It's got that motoric drive of just like those plucky synths and then building on top, and it's just like, it's awesome. And it's a mix of long and short tracks. If you missed this one, Fling II, again, look below for a link. Here's a record I'm not really sure about. This is from Tonal Union, the Lori Torres album from this year called Après Coup. I've seen this actually showing up on some lists from people, and hold on, pause for cough. And it's a very pretty, mostly solo piano album. I can get into that if you saw my earlier videos, like H Hunt playing piano for dad. This one doesn't vibe and move in the same way as that. It's a little more contemplative, I guess. And it has moments where it really picks up, and I should say picks up, but for in the context of this record, picks up. Some of the tracks just feel a little too bland for me, but I'll still throw it on in the car and stuff if we just want something chill to listen to. And I need to give this another really deep listen. All right. Here's an unexpectedly good one from this year. Rafael Toral's Traveling Light. So a lot of people might have seen last year he released Spectral Evolution. I think that was what it was called, the one with the bird on the cover. This guy's been making music for a long time. I've collected a few of his older records too, or records that have been reissued or issued for the first time on vinyl recently. But I haven't really dug deep into his back catalog. This one, I guess, I don't know if he made it while he was on the road touring or shortly after, but it's reinterpretations of classic jazz standards done in his way. And I think the cover here is really appropriate because the way that he kind of does them feels like a time-lapse version of those songs. There's a lot of electronic pads and stuff being built up underneath, and then you get these motifs from the classic songs kind of getting layered on top of them. I know he plays guitar. Some of this stuff does sound like sax. I don't know if he's using effects on his guitar to do that or if there's other people involved, but this is a great listen. I mean, this is something that you can put on, again, kind of in that same ambient way, but because it has these classic jazz motifs in it, it does stand out a little bit more than an ambient record at times, and it's a really special record. I've been listening to it more and more. My wife really likes it too, so go check this one out. And let's see. We can say who the label is. Doesn't really matter. Drag City. There you go. Drag City also puts out, I think, pretty much all the Bitchin Bajas stuff. All right, now we're getting into the stunt rock confusion section. We've given Dom a lot of flowers for his tips this year, but I've also occasionally caught some of the live streams that Stunty does. If you haven't checked out his channel, Stunt Rock Confusion, he does a live stream almost every Friday and plays a lot of new and old stuff. And he, especially in the last few months when I've started trying to make time to listen to his streams, he's put me onto a few things from this year. So perhaps the best one being this album from Helen Island called Silence is Priceless. First of all, super, super cool album cover there. This is a band from the Netherlands. And I'm trying to think, did I write any notes for this of what they sound like? Yes. So, yeah, the album is called Nekkelhui. Or sorry, not the album, the label Nekkelhui. I'm obviously doing a bad job pronouncing that, but I guess most broadly you could call this like hypnagogic pop. It feels very throwback to that like 2010 Gorilla vs. Bear Bloghouse indie pop sound to me. Think kind of like Chromatics or Grimes. And then if you remember the JJ Kills record, that's what actually this reminds me of most with the vocalists, because I think they were also from the Netherlands perhaps. So the accent is really similar. And it has some moments where it kind of approaches a trip hop sound as well. But yeah, so the interesting thing that as I was trying to make notes for this video, I didn't get to it in full, but this is a one-man act, I believe, out of Paris, someone named Leopold Collin, and he's all over the credits. So I'm assuming that he's using some kind of effect to make his vocals sound female. To me, they sound female, or perhaps he's trying to go for like a unknown gender kind of sound here, but super, super cool record. And it can kind of sit in the background and just kind of be there and vibe, or you can turn it up, and it really does have moments where it really kind of gets you like into it. So really, really big crowd pleasing record for everyone who I played it for. Another weird one. UFO Bar with the album Ufficio Mysteri. And this was on a label called something Crypt, I think. Oh, Sunny Crypt out of Italy. This is like abstract, experimental, electronic rock. They use the word like doom metal in their description on Bandcamp too. And I'm just going to regurgitate what I read there because this is their first album as a band. It's an 8-piece group out of Milan, and they're citing ambient, electronic, industrial, and stoner rock or doom as their influences. And this album really does kind of like fly across all these genres, and sometimes within a song you'll fly across genres. Very, very hard to pin down, but it's really cool. It's a really interesting listen. And the band it most reminds me of is probably Gang Gang Dance overall, in just the way that the tracks are pretty long, they evolve, they just have this very Gang Gang Dance vibe to me. If you know that band, I think you'll know what I mean. So really worth checking out. And this is one I ordered online and paid heavy on the this is one I ordered online. I didn't pay heavy on the shipping. I ordered it online because someone in the US was selling it, and I grabbed it, and it turned out to be from that store in Bayonne, and he sells under a different name online, so I didn't put the connection together. It came in like 3 days, and I messaged him, and I was like, oh, I think you sent me this. So, you know, that guy is, like I said, he's stocking really cool stuff from all over Europe. But yeah, go check this one out. Very cool. And then some kind of reissue or archival things from Stunty 2 that came out. I'm pretty sure he was the one that got me onto this, Emilia Cooney's Melopia. And she's doing this, what's the word for the singing that she does? Drupa. Singing. And then I believe she passed. God, I hope I'm getting this right. I read this at one point. But had these recordings of her singing, and then I think her friends did instrumentation over or under the lyrics and put together this record. I think it's posthumous. I might be wrong, but either way, that's how they constructed it. She had these existing tapes first, I believe, and then others played around it. Yeah, file this one under like the weird sounds, like just interesting thing to have and play and to develop your ear and learn like what does Drupal singing sound like. And then of course it has this great instrumentation under it. So yeah, really, really nice one. It's not crazy. You can just put it on. It's awesome. And then this one definitely was from Stunty, Atmosphere's Cosmogonical Ears. And I think this is, actually I'm not sure if this is a new record or if this is I think this is actually not I think this is actually a new record. So this is from a label called Hollow Ground that I've started collecting and following too, because they put out a bunch of work from Fujita and Kali Malone. I collected a bunch of Fujita stuff, but I don't think he put out a release this year. And this is just like weird experimental ambient, or maybe you'd almost call it like musique concrète, right? Concrete music. Just not as a chill of a listen, but very much done in a very avant way, but worth checking out, and one that you might want to add just for the sake of having, because it is really interesting to listen to. It's just not something that you can just put on in the way that some other ambient music could be put on. Really quick, since we're already at 30 minutes, I guess I'll have to wrap it up soon, but some records that are old that finally made it to vinyl for the first time. Stars of the Lid with Music for Nitrous Oxide. So I'm actually not the biggest fan of them overall. I need to keep digging into their stuff, but this one I got because I just know that I'll probably be into this band someday, and I'm going to regret missing this. I think this is one of their earlier, if not their earliest proper albums, but they had never done a record before, so it was the first time it was being put on record. So I grabbed it, and I put it on just the other night, again, to listen to it and kind of prepare for thinking about this video. And we were sitting and reading and hanging out after the kid was asleep. My wife loved it. She immediately was like, who is this? And I showed her the record, and I was getting into it. So really glad that I got it, and I need to go back and revisit some of their other classic albums. And then Aphex Twins, Polygon Windows, Surfing on Sine Waves. I'm not sure if this is the first time these have just been collected like this, or if it's truly the first time they were released like this, but I grabbed this as well. I'm just going to check my box and see if there's anything else down here I don't want to miss. Yeah, well, let's do a few other quick shout outs. So if you're into hip hop at all, like I'm super picky about it, but one that I found this year that I really, really liked was this Gabe Nandez and Preservation. The album is called Sortilège. It's a French pronunciation. And Gabe Nandez is the MC. Preservation did the production on it. Really good. I love the beats. I love the rapping. Very, very reminiscent of an MF Doom style rapper, or maybe Guru too at some points. But the beats are awesome. Really good record. And I think this might be his first proper record. Not too much is known about this guy right now, but I really, really like this. I got the Clips record too. I didn't put it in the box. And that one was a mess to try to figure out which one to get because it was done so many different ways, but I grabbed one of those. And yeah, not too much for me on the hip hop side this year. Maybe next year we'll see a new JPEG Mafia or something. Old Saw, who I mentioned before in a different video, released a new record this year after a long time called The Ringing Cloth. I only listened to this once. I need to listen to it again, but I'm throwing it out there because their other work is really, really good. But I'm not sure. I need to listen to this one again and really get top of mind of it. A couple more really nice, like, ambient jazz, electronic albums to check out if you're into that stuff like I am. An artist here called Gabriel Brady released an album called Dayblind off of a German label. What was the label here? Tonal Union again. Okay. So yeah, that's probably how I found this, through their direct emails. Grab this. Just a very chill, nice ambient kind of, not acoustic ambient. I think there's some electronic stuff in here too, but some acoustic playing. And this one I really like and I've listened to a few times. Nico Joris's Music Belongs to the Universe and Desert Mirror. And so this was 2 EPs that are pressed side to side. I don't think they had previously. Maybe they had been 7 inches before. This is the first time they were put together. And this is on Leaving Records. So yeah, this would have been one I got from them direct on Bandcamp. I listened to this again last week. It's awesome. It's really great. Just like some of the earlier ones. I probably should have been listening to it more because it does kind of hit that same spot as like the Cold Police and the M Sage and stuff. Very nice. And another one I picked up, I think in Bayonne, out of Finland, this record by Farda, Humans and Beings. I have to listen to this one again. It's been on my list of things to re-listen to so I can get some more proper thoughts because it's been a while. I didn't come around to it. This is on Ultrani. I love the label there. Looking very, very cool. I remember this one being a little more out there than the Ville. What was that? What was the pronunciation there of that other one? Ville Valavuo. I think this one was a little bit more noisy at times or free. So that's probably why I haven't come back to it, because it's not something I can just play in the house without someone complaining. But I will. And again, love that cover. It's like one of those silk screened covers. I like that trend a lot out of these European labels, doing those silk screen covers. And then here's someone who I think has been around for a bit but was new to me, Micaiah McCraven, Off the Record. This is a collection of EPs that I think he had done electronically. And yeah, so it's 2 records, 4 EPs. And I guess what he does is like these improvised sessions, but then he edits them, but not just like for time, but I think he also does post-production on them. And so you end up getting kind of this more like almost IDM-ish effect it's not all the way there, but it does start scanning as electronic music in some cases, although it does all derive from live playing and improvisation. And this is International Anthem and None Such. And yeah, I know he has another record, an older record that's from just a few years ago that's super pricey. I need to go listen to that and dig into him more. But I quite liked this when I heard it, and yeah, eventually went and got it in Bayonne. They brought that one in. And yeah, I mean, I've got two others in here that are kind of disappointments. I guess I'll do them real quick since the video is already long. Sophia Cortez's, I need to give this another shot. Probably, I really loved her first big record from a couple years ago. I think I learned about it on probably the Quietus, and we played a lot, especially like in the evening if we're having people over, because it is kind of like an upbeat, cool house music type of thing, but not so crazy. It's kind of got that like almost like a deep house quality to it, right? Where it's chill, but it still has that head nodding capability to it. This was her new one this year, an EP, and I listened to it. I remember just being like, whatever, but I need to go back and listen because her other one was so good. And so maybe there's something here I'm missing. And then the real disappointment, and this was one where, we had to order it, or I just forced myself to order it when it first hit Bandcamp for pre-order. But I really did not like this. Maybe I'll like it in the future. Black Country New Roads, Forever How Long. I really liked their previous work with the guy. I know that's cringe to say, but yeah, the instrumentation, as much as I like it on those other albums, it's not necessarily what I was here for. And a lot of the stuff on here really, at first scan to me, felt cringe. In the same way that now I think a lot of Arcade Fire stuff sounds a little cringe to me, especially the direction that band ended up going in. So, yeah, I'm not really wasn't really hoping for this band to get more into like the stomp clap, happy chamber pop stuff that feels like the direction they're going. To be honest, I never even listened to the whole thing. I couldn't make it through. So, yeah, I should probably give it a shot. I know people have been praising this record a lot and trying to make a big deal about it being as good or better than the previous work, and that you shouldn't care that the singer changed, but I don't know. That sinister vibe that he brought really was what drew me in. So, yeah, I'll give it another shot someday. But yeah, that's it. That's my new music from 2025, with some omissions, of course, but it's as much as I can put into one video. And I'll try to follow this up with, probably some of my biggest finds in 2025 and call it at that. I think that would be a good way to split it up. And that's it. All right. Well, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. If there was anything that you think I would like based on what you saw here, throw it in the comments below. I'm always looking to find more music to listen to and collect. And if there's anything that you heard here that you hadn't listened to before and you ended up liking it, let me know too. I would love that type of comment. And that's it for this one. All right. Bye, everyone.